Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is News and Week in Review. We're going to be diving into a bunch of news pieces, all the Week in Review, the videos last week, the topic of the week, what I played, all the usual things. But first, and starting off the bat with something that is probably relevant to you if you are a board game designer, or if you are looking to get into game design, or if you want to run a crowdfunding campaign. But if you're none of those things, both these next pieces might not be that interesting, so you might want to skip to the next timestamp. But specifically, we have the Board Game Design Virtual Summit being run February 21st through 27th. This is being run by Joe Slack, who's designed a bunch of games. He runs this whole thing. He's regularly, this is the Board Game Design Lab, I believe. But basically, they're going to be running a summit. They're doing schedules, speakers, all these things, getting into game design, making games and memorable experiences, publishing and pitching. And yes, I am involved in that as well. I'll be giving some things there, both live and pre-recorded, as well as marketing your game. Some of these things are going to be free. Some of these things require a paid badge, especially if you want access to a lifetime of content. Let's go ahead and scroll down to some of the things over here. You have the free, you have the all access pass, the premium pass, and the ultimate pass, all giving you various things. Feel free to check that out. And just a disclaimer, I do get some, if you buy a pass through this, some of that does go towards benefiting the show, which is both appreciated, but also take that into account. From there, in a very similar note, we have the ultimate Kickstarter marketing course for gamers is now here. This is from Crowdfunding Nerds, who, first of all, they run a fantastic podcast that I think is interesting if you like the space in general, but might only be interesting if you're in the more crowdfunding or whatever side of things. But Crowdfunding Nerds, again, they've sold games. They've created and run Kickstarters for games. They've helped a variety of other people run Kickstarters for their games. They're straight up, endorsed by industry veterans, from Gabe Barrett over here from the Board Game Design Lab and Barrett Publishing, which means the Board Game Design Summit is not the Board Game Design Lab. But past that, they have this course. Supposed to be officially $600, 65% off this week only, although it depends on when you get it. That may have expired by the time you watch this video, or maybe down to the next tier. They're slowly tiering it in as far as options. But again, Crowdfunding Nerds Kickstarter course, this is the kind of thing that is very useful and helpful if you are running a Kickstarter campaign. If you are just a random Joe Schmo who just wants to play board games. That may have sounded negative. I don't mean anything wrong with Random Joe Schmo. I think it's great being Random Joe Schmo. But the point is, if you're not into the Kickstarter or crowdfunding side of things, this is going to be less useful to you. And same thing over here. I do get a commission or whatnot if you do buy anything here, so take that into account. This is from Crowdfunding Nerds. I recommend their podcast no matter what. That's completely free. Fantastic content. I believe it's weekly. It's awesome. I've been on it as well. Take that into account as well. But from there, let's go ahead and dive into regular news. Starting off with very sad news, but Funagain Logistics is closing up shop. It seems like regular Funagain is staying open, but the logistics side of things is unfortunately closing up shop. Is some of your Kickstarters or crowdfunding campaigns that have been delayed over the past who knows how long, some of those can be because of the Funagain Logistics closing up. I've gotten a few updates. Once they kind of announced this, I got a few updates from various crowdfunding campaigns that I've backed from people who are basically saying, hey, part of the delays have been on Funagain's side. We just couldn't say anything yet until this news was public. It's unfortunate. It's sad. It means there's one less person in the space to be competitive in the space of crowdfunding, fulfillment, and distribution, but it is what it is. From there, we have Beyond the Sun, Leaders of the New Dawn. I don't know when this is officially public, but I just found out about it. This is an expansion to Beyond the Sun, which is a great game. So expansions to great games, always excited for. We also have over on 5 Games For Doomsday. This is old news, unfortunately, but I forgot to talk about it when it happened, and then I just was watching a recent 5 Games For Doomsday, or listening to a recent 5 Games For Doomsday. I was like, I've never announced this, but I was on 5 Games For Doomsday. I think he is the best interviewer in the space, or possibly tied for the best. I also think, what's his name? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking his name. Oh my gosh, Tim. I think Tim Medavera from Dice Tower West, he runs a board game cafe in Las Vegas. I think he and Ben from 5 Games For Doomsday are the best interviewers in the space in general. So if you want to listen to this over here, 5 Games For Doomsday, I did an interview where I talk about the 5 games I would keep for Doomsday, as well as whatever other questions were thrown my way. Then we have over here, Stormsunder is officially closing up their PM. So this is your last chance to get out on Wave 1. I'm sure they'll be reopening it in between Wave 2 and all that. But Stormsunder Wave 1 is closing up their PM the week of January 23rd. So keep your eyes peeled. This is your last chance to get in on this. This has been a long time coming, this game, and I'm anxiously awaiting it. Also, a bunch of news and updates around a variety of other campaigns, just general things. They have coming up stuff as well. They have, what is this over here? Legends of the Keepers video game is being adapted to what looks like an RPG. but with miniatures, of course, because it's Lazy Squire Games. But that's Stormsunder closing up their PM. And then we have over on Ginny D. Over on Ginny D, first of all, fantastic content creator. I don't even care about D&D. I don't care, but I don't play D&D. I'm not that into D&D, and yet I still watch Ginny D's content because her stuff is just, she makes me a better DM, and I've never played D&D. That's the kind of content it is. Fantastic content. But that aside, she put out a video talking about the OGL, the Open Gaming License situation. That's relevant, and I want to talk about it here for two reasons. If you watch my YouTube shorts, fun fact, I do YouTube shorts now. We'll talk about that more some other time. But if you watch my YouTube shorts, one I had this past week was not a fully comprehensive view of the situation. For the sake of, hey, talking about things and giving an update, I was like, hey, Wizards of the Coast, they announced an update and they're caving in and all. They're caving as far as they're giving into the demands of all this. I'll talk about the situation in a second, but they're giving into the demands of the whole open gaming license situation. I got some pushback on the short, understandably, because while I didn't say anything in their defense, I also didn't give a full comprehensive view of the situation because it's a 60-second video. But effectively, the short version of things, there's a lot of drama around the open gaming license situation. The very short notes of it, and keep in mind I'm about to refer all the other content you should take a look at, but the very short note of it is that Wizards of the Coast, the whole D&D, they have an open game license that protects other people creating content, all that stuff, and the problem is they're putting out changes to the content. There's been a ton, and those changes were all leaked to the community, they were leaked without Wizards' intent, and there's a lot of pushback and people dropping their D&D Beyond subscriptions, and just a ton of pushback from the community, to the point that Wizards of the Coast put out an update that basically said, hey, you know what, we're not doing that, we changed our mind, it's all good, it's all okay, everything's good now. That's the update I put out in my short video. It's not necessarily everything's good now. There's nothing's good now until we actually see any documentation. Plus, of course, it didn't cover the fact that the update kind of pretends that, hey, we're all on your side all along, when that isn't really the case. That's the short version of things going on. The reason I'm referring to Ginny D's video specifically is because she did a great job in her 2-minute and 23-second long video saying, hey, this is the sequence of videos I recommend you watch that I think fully covers the entire situation. It's like 5 or 6 videos that really do a good job giving you just a full picture of what started, what happened, Legal Eagle, some information about the Legal Eagle video. That it's fully comprehensive. I'm half my way through the whole playlist of videos. But if you want to get a good picture of everything going on, I'm going to refer you to Ginny D, who's going to refer you to like 7 other videos that are all worth watching on the open gaming license situation from Wizards of the Coast. And again, apologies for trying to cover a very nuanced and complicated subject in 60 seconds where I definitely, totally failed. Again, I don't think I got anything wrong. There's no nuance in the 60 seconds. That said, from there we have Let's Go to Japan. AEG is running a Kickstarter in March 2023. Let's Go to Japan. It's basically a game. I saw this briefly at Gen Con. Didn't get a chance to play it, but I saw it. We'll find out more about it, but they'll be running that in March. And then lastly, we have over on the Board Game Garden, Jenna from the Board Game Garden put out I'm launching a Board Game Garden Patreon video. Basically, she's kind of moving full-time into content creation, or as much as possible, and the Patreon will help her with that. I highly recommend the Board Game Garden. The channel's done incredibly well. She basically moved over from general YouTube to Board Game YouTube and has grown tremendously because her content is good. Her content, I've talked about her in the past, her content is friendly, it's accessible, it feels welcoming, it just feels very zen and chill and welcoming in a way that, again, there's a reason she's grown very rapidly to 11,000 plus subscribers. And if you want to help support her and her channel, I highly recommend her and her channel and her Patreon if you want to give that a shout. Look, not a shout. Give that a look. I'm giving it a shout. You can give it a look. And with that, let's go ahead and stop all this stuff over here and move on to the topic of the week. Topic of the week is going to be board game statistics. That's basically it. Board game statistics. I'm going to kind of pull up my BG Stats over here. BG Stats is the app that I use to log all my plays. And I'm just going to pull up some of my insights from 2022 and just talk with them briefly, in case you care. Do you care? I don't know. Maybe you do. But currently, I am at... Give it a second to load. I'm at 1,280 plays in 2022. And just in case you want like some general details of things I do, games I play, stuff like that, I'm at 1,280 plays. That's up from 1,194 plays in 2021. So I have, for the past like 5-6 years, I've continued my goal of always playing more games each year than the year before. Past that, I've played 523 unique games in 2022. That basically means that I've averaged roughly 2.5 plays per game on average. Some get 1 play, some get 5 plays, some get 24 plays. In fact, the game with the most plays in 2022 is is going to be Gloomhaven, with 76 plays under my belt and around 103 hours of content. Keep in mind, anything I talk about in terms of hours over here is going to be a rough estimate as opposed to anything else, because when I log Gloomhaven, I'm like, okay, Gloomhaven, that was roughly an hour. Was it 45 minutes? Was it an hour and 15? Could go either way. Consider anything. Consider, in fact, the entire thing considered to be an estimate. I found that on average, I don't log somewhere between 10 to 20% of my plays, and I usually notice this when I go to like log a play of a game, and I'll be like, logging my third play, and it's like, no, you never played this game before. And I'm like, yes, I have. So these are all inconsistent as far as, you know, the number of plays or that kind of situation. There's rough numbers. But so Gloomhaven is the game I played the most in 2022. Is that true, actually? Let me see if it's ordered. Yes, in terms of the most plays and the most hours, we have Gloomhaven in 2022. In terms of hours after that, it looks like after that, the most we have after that is Calico at roughly 27 hours of content and around 40 plays. I have 40 plays of Calico under my belt after Gloomhaven 76. Much of that has been solo. I've been diving into a lot of solo content in certain specific games that I played a lot of, from Calico to other games that I'll get to. We have Hoplock's Victorum, have like 23 hours of content over there, which is a ton of plays, although I do log every scenario as a play, which means a full session of Hoplock's Victorum is going to be, I don't know, like 40 plays or something like that, so it's just a single play of Hoplock's Victorum. If you divide each individual a week, that's how I log it over there. We have 31 plays of Codenames, around 10 hours over there. We have 22 plays of Crokinole, which I'm surprised is that high, but Crokinole's in my number 6th most played game of 2022. We have Cockroach Poker Royale, which is a consistent one. Cartographers. Jurassic World is one that I still haven't finished, but I have a bunch of plays over there. What else do we have? My Shelfie I've been playing a lot. Relics of Rajavihara, that'll be another solo game. Roleplay Adventures, another one. We have some Dice Miner, which I'm playing a surprising amount. Welcome to So Clover, Ragnaroks. I've been getting a lot of players of Ragnaroks in. That's when you can punch out a play in 25 minutes, or less than that, 20 minutes at times. That's what we have as far as general, well, stuff over there. Past that, anything else interesting in terms of stats? We covered Gloomhaven, by the way. Gloomhaven has become my most played game of all time, officially, by the way, including if I actually pull up all time. Previously, I believe it was Cthulhu Death May Die in terms of hours played. But let's take a look at some all-time stats over here. Just some brief numbers. All-time stats, it's loading. It's loading. And all-time is not actually all-time. All-time is from like 2016, 2017 when I started tracking plays. In that time, I have 4,374 plays logged, 1,147 different games. We have Gloomhaven is my number 1 most played game with 81 plays as far as number of plays, followed by Codenames with 62 plays. So Gloomhaven's definitely taking the cake over there. That's because I've been streaming it over on Camp Co-op, and that means I'm playing Gloomhaven like 2, 3, 4 times a week right now. In terms of the hours played, oh wow, we have Gloomhaven with 110 hours of all time, because I have played Gloomhaven before this year, just the bulk of it is this year. And then we have Terraforming Mars at 70 hours is the most hours played in terms of the next most, tied with Cthulhu Death May Die for 70 hours as well. Zombicide Black Plague at 55 hours, and Pandemic Legacy, all of them together at 54 hours. I think it's all of them together. No, it's actually separate. I logged Season 1 and Season 2 separately. I have another 21 hours of Season 1 as well, and I don't think I logged my first play of Season 1. I played Season 1 and Season 2 of Pandemic Legacy twice each, and Season 1, I don't think I logged the first one. I don't think I was logging plays the first time I played it. From there, we have Bruges at 48 hours. Fun fact, most of my plays of Bruges were doing COVID. It was a game I played online in Yukata with my game group, and it became one of our consistent hits. We have Inish at 48 hours, My City at 46 hours, and then from there we see a big drop down at 38 hours of Root. My City probably is not 46 hours. There's no way. My City, that's an overestimate. My City, I've gone through the campaign a few times. It's quick and easy to table, but it's one that it's like 20 minutes a game. I probably have that mislog that's not that high. We have Root at 38 hours. We have The World of Smog, Rise of Moloch at 36 hours, and that's going to be the most played as far as what I have logged here. And again, hours are all estimates. Take that into account there. And that's what we have. I think that's what we have as far as general stats in 2022. Every single year, I've played a few more games than the last. I have more stuff here, but it would require showing you a screen and all those fun things. And so that is what we have as far as stats, which brings us to the week in review. That was my topic of the week, just stats and numbers and things. Which brings us to the week in review, which is going to be games I played, which means I need to pull up BG stats again and see what I have currently logged. From here, we have, what's the date right now? It's the 18th, which means all my plays look mostly up to date. Yeah, my plays look, no, that looks wrong. That looks wrong. I might have my plays somewhat up to date over here. So, going through my plays, we have the following as far as this past week, and a bunch of things. And again, as usual, not as usual, like I have the past several weeks, I'll be picking specific games to go over, as opposed to talking about all my plays. And I'm going to start with, let's see, we talked about that one already. Let's start with Can't Stop, because I've played a surprising amount of Can't Stop this past week. Can't Stop is excellent. Can't Stop is a really fun game. It's a game that I have the physical game in my collection. It's on BGA. You can play it over there. Can't Stop is just one of the quickest, fastest, most simply addicting, constantly wanting to roll your next turn kind of games. It plays quickly. It's been around. At this point, it's probably my oldest game in my collection in terms of the published date, not in terms of the longest in my collection. And it's just consistently good fun. I've never actually reviewed it. I should review it. I should review Can't Stop. I should review Can't Stop. I'm going to review Can't Stop. It's just a fun game. It's quick and easy to play. I recommend it if you find it at a thrift store. If you just want to buy it, whatever, if you want to try it in Board Game Arena, although playing it in person is significantly more fun than playing it in Board Game Arena, that tactile feel is just much more compelling as you slowly move up. The whole idea is you roll dice, you pair them up, and then you try to move up a track. And if you can't, then you bust. And you constantly want to keep going so that you can be the first one to get to the top of the track. It is just so much fun. Really recommend it. I think it's phenomenal. From there, I'll talk about Seven Wonders Duel. Oh, do I want to? No, I'm going to be reviewing those. Let's talk about, well, a bunch of these I'll be reviewing, but I'll talk about some of them. Let's talk about Keyforge Call of the Archons, because that's one that I just played for the first time this past week, and I really like it. I'll be doing a Play This Not That between Keyforge and Soulforge. I like both of them. The question is, which one do I like more? Which one do I recommend more, and why? And we'll talk about that in the future. But as far as Keyforge goes, I played one of the older sets. I basically picked up a bunch of Keyforge content on the cheap. It's very easy to get Keyforge content on the cheap, but I really liked the puzzle of what's going on there. In Keyforge, you have a deck of cards, and they're all algorithmically generated. There's no deck building in the game. And then from there, you're going to activate one house each turn. Effectively, you're trying to craft 3 keys before your opponent crafts 3 keys, which means you're trying to get the Ember, and you're trying to use that to craft your keys. But the activation system of choosing which house to activate every turn leads to a fascinatingly fun puzzle that plays pretty quickly and just gives you an enjoyable puzzle of how to play through your deck of cards. It plays decently quickly, although one of my complaints about it is that it could lag a bit as far as how long it takes. So it can play quickly, but it can lag depending on the decks you're playing and the style of playing. Whether you're playing more offensively to take down creatures or whether you're trying to generate as much Ember as possible. It offers a lot of strategic depth to the game in a way that I really appreciate and just think is excellent. From there, we'll talk about Marvel United. I played through a ton of Marvel United content this past week, both the new Marvel United Multiverse. I played that the regular way, I played it solo, I played with different player counts, and then I played through Marvel United old stuff as well. I played through Sinister Six and Infinity Wars, which you can expect to see playthroughs of both of those on the channel. In fact, Infinity Wars is going up later today. I like Marvel United. I consistently like Marvel United. I think it's a good game. I think it's a game that I do not think you need 3 seasons worth of content. So don't make no mistake. I'm not trying to sell you on getting more Marvel United content. This is not sponsored by Come On or anything. I just think it's a great game. I think you probably could benefit from going a season's worth of content. Get a season. Just 1 season. If you haven't jumped into the game, Marvel United Multiverse is a good time. If you have jumped into the game already, you probably don't need anything from Marvel United Multiverse. Now, whether you choose to get it, that's up to you, but you almost certainly don't need anything new. I think the regular Marvel United, like I enjoyed Multiverse, I did, but I think the biggest thing that would probably be a change is the new solo mode. So if you're playing Marvel United solo mode, maybe pick up the base game so you have the challenge card so you can play it solo. That's fine. Okay, great. It'll cost you $20. But, I mean, not on the Kickstarter. Just get it at retail later. But effectively, Marvel United is an excellent system that works really well, and I just highly recommend the variability of the game, the variability of all the content there is. I do think you need more than a retail core game, and I do recommend getting a season's worth of content from Kickstarter. Not the all-ins, not the expansions, not all of that. Just pay, like, a base pledge. Pay $65 and get all the extra villains and heroes they throw your way. It's a great price point for a ton of content for a game that works really well. And then if you're crazy like me, you can get everything for it. But I just think Marvel United is accessible, it's easier to dive into, and it's just really good. It's just really good. From there, let's talk about God Tier. God Tier is one that Devin had a chance to teach me while he was here this past week, and I played it for the first time from Steamforge Games. I've had it for a while. I'll have a review of it at some point. I'm gonna have a Play This Not That between Super Fantasy Brawl and God Tier, and I really like what God Tier is doing. I have complaints about it. I have nitpicks, and I do wonder how much it'll see the table as far as. It's just one of those games that's a little harder to actually get tabled because of the skirmish nature, because if you learn the factions better, someone who knows the game better will probably do better than someone who won't, which means I'm only going to really play it with, well, probably 1 or 2 people in my game group, like Devin and then maybe 1 person here. And so if it's not getting tabled with them, then it won't get tabled. But past that, I do like what God Tier is doing. I think God Tier is... my biggest complaint against it, is that I think to really dive into the system, you need about $100 worth of content. I just don't think a single core box is going to give you the experience you're supposed to get out of it. Those starter sets are just that. They are starter sets. It's not enough to properly play the game. You see, each starter set's going to give you 2 factions, and realistically, God Tier is meant to be slowly escalated to you can play a 1 versus 1 faction, then you can play 2 factions versus 2, you can control both of them, or you can play 3 versus 3. And playing 2 versus 2 is good, playing 3 versus 3 is going to be the best, playing 1 versus 1 is not going to be satisfying, which means at a minimum you need 2 core sets, or core set plus 2 factions, and ideally you need 2 core sets and 2 factions, which is like $150 worth of content, maybe 100, a little less than, maybe a little over 100, I don't know exactly, but it's a lot of money for the content there, which is my biggest complaint against it. But past that, I think God tier is really solid. And the last thing I'll talk about is Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies is one that I played this past week, and I really enjoyed it with the caveat that I don't like playing as much as zombie heroes. I prefer to play as full-on heroes against the zombies, the other mode, the one that's going to be coming in Wave 2, or the one you can play with Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance. So there might be a way to kind of merge the two so I can play a full 9. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I'm probably just going to wait till Wave 2. I do like playing as the zombies, I do, so I still enjoy it, but to me, it hurts to say this, but I like Undead or Alive so much right now that I might prefer Undead or Alive to playing as the zombie heroes in Marvel Zombies, and I think above that, I prefer playing as the regular heroes in Marvel Zombies. From the ones, when I played it online doing the Kickstarter, when the Marvel Zombies Kickstarter ran, for me, even back then, playing as the zombie heroes was the inferior way to play. Playing as the real heroes with the power system was the much better way of playing it. So I really want to dive into that when that full thing finally arrives. I'm very much looking forward to it. I still think Marvel Zombies is my favorite Zombicide Kickstarter right now, but right now, Black Plague, Undead or Alive, and Marvel Zombies all have something compelling about them that stands out in different ways. Black Plague has the biggest zombie variety, Marvel Zombies has the new system and the Marvel IP, and it just does work really well as far as the changes they've made, but Undead or Alive is the most brutally difficult in a way that I find, well, rewarding, and I like it that way, so there's that. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move into the week in review, starting off with this past week. Saturday. This last Saturday, I put up a review for Power Rangers, the deck building game. Gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I like it, but I don't think it's essential unless you are a Power Rangers fan. If you're not, I think there are better deck building games out there. Then we had Once Upon a Line, more of a first impressions, because I didn't really get the full content in the game. So I got like a tutorial and then an intro, but the full scenarios you would have to play with, I didn't actually get a chance to do. I think it's very unique, but I think it's very unique, meaning I think it's more of an experience than a game. As a game, I'd probably rate it a 3 out of 5. But if you don't mind the experience, if you're looking for a crossword kind of system, if you're looking for a word search puzzle, I think it's very unique in what it's doing, and I think it does offer some fun aspects that really do stand out, and there's nothing else quite like it in the space. So I'm kind of currently mixed on it, and I want to play the full scenario to dive into, like a full proper scenario. I think the story aspect of it, combined with the word search, gives you a very interesting puzzle to dive into. Then on Sunday we had we had 2 videos actually. We had Play Games With Your Kids, a video that I've had in my calendar for like 4 months and haven't put up yet, but this is together with Play the Game HQ, previously known as Kidsplaining. They're for the channel that used to do more kid-based content and then shifted to fantastic playthrough content. If you're looking for some incredible playthroughs, very much with a tabletop Will Wheaton style, although without the celebrity guests, I think Play the Game does a great job. Highly recommend them. And then later on Sunday we had, and this was a conversation about playing games with the kids. It's a conversation we filmed a while ago. I think it's a good conversation, especially if you have, well, kids. Then from there, we had later on Sunday, we had the Marvel Zombies gameplay. This is together with Travis from Come On and from Simon. And yeah, we played through Marvel Zombies gameplay. That was later on Sunday. On Monday we had 2 back or not to back. This is the first one in like, I don't know, way too long. The first 2 back or not to back in a while. It's been quite some time, and it was kind of a dead week. We'll have another one this next week. I'm pretty sure there's enough campaigns to go over, but this 2 back and not to back had a few highlights that stood out, but past that it was a bunch of smaller campaigns that weren't doing that great. We had Among Us Cultists, we had these are the ones that did well. We had Orc Quest, Among Us Cultists, and like 1 or 2 others that were like worth paying attention to, and then a bunch of smaller campaigns that are worth paying attention to, but probably much more selective as far as who you're actually going to be, who's actually back in those games. Then on Tuesday we had a Marvel United solo game. This is me diving into the Marvel United Multiverse with the new solo rules. And then later on Tuesday, we had a review for King's Forge, another one that's been just sitting there for a while. And then lastly on Tuesday, we had a review for Framework, a great game from Pegasus Spiel. Oh, for review content-wise, King's Forge is a 3.5 out of 5. There's a lot of elements that I really enjoy about it. Ultimately, I think I prefer other dice manipulation games, but it's a solid gateway game. And then for the Framework review, later on Tuesday, I think I give it did I give it a 5 out of 5? I either give it a 4.5 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5. I really like the accessibility of it. It's a game that has worked for everyone I've played it with. It's just easy to dive into. It is a lighter game, factor that in, but I really, really like what Framework's doing. It is my favorite from the series of Nova Luna, Sagani, and Framework. Then from there we're up to Framework Tuesday. Wednesday we had a few videos go up. We had Game a Day December. This is the last of the series. Basically, I was doing a series where I played a game every day, and then once a month I would do a video talking about those experiences. This was the last one. There are going to be no more in this series. We're done. It's over. It's gone. There'll be other series in 2023, but this I'll still be playing plenty of games, rest assured, but the Game a Day series is gone as of now. It was meant to be a single-year challenge, and I did it, and now we're done. Then later on Wednesday, we had a live Q&A with myself and only myself. Basically, the Week in Review. The weekly live is a series that a while ago. Let's go back a step. I used to do very infrequent live content. Then I quit my job and started doing this full time before I took the game fan position. And then when I did that, I started doing weekly live shows because, hey, if I have the flexibility, I like to do live content. It's a good way of interacting with the audience. Then when I brought Devin and Meg on board, we started doing the weekly live instead, where the three of us do stuff. And so this was me jumping back into a Q&A because I've missed Q&As and I will do them. I'll be doing them infrequently. There'll be regular live content, but the Q&A content will probably be once every month, once every 2 months, somewhere in that range. And then lastly on Wednesday, I had a review for Marvel United, because we're talking about plenty of Marvel United stuff. This is specifically reviewing the Multiverse, talking about the new content, whether it helps, how essential is it. Short version is, I think Multiverse is a great place to start your Marvel United journey. If you already have Marvel United, I don't think there's anything here that's essential, at least core set-wise. I can't talk about all the content and the characters you want and the bosses and all that stuff. That's a different story. Then Thursday we had 2023 titles we want to play. This is a video with myself, Meg, and Devin going over it. In 2023, our most anticipated games that we want to play, from Kickstarters are arriving, from retail games, all that kind of thing. Highly recommend watching it in case you want to know what's coming up on the horizon, as well as which titles we cross over. There's one 3-way crossover on that list. Then on Thursday, I think later on Thursday, did I do an unboxing on Thursday? No, I did not. On Friday we had Where Are They Now for January. This is taking a look at the games I reviewed, last year, January, and just looking at how they've held up a year later and talking about those changes. A monthly series that is going to be staying in 2023. And then later on Friday, we had the Fantasy Series 1 unboxing from Blacklist Games. This is me unboxing it to talk about it and then immediately turn around and sell it and get rid of it, because I'm not going to be keeping it. And that is the Fantasy Series 1, and that is that, which brings us to today. Today we're going to have 2 videos going up. We have a 4 Monkey Mind games, a small set of games I got on Kickstarter, reviewing all 4 of them in a single video. You can check that out. And then later we'll have a Marvel United playthrough of Infinity Wars, of the Infinity Gauntlet and all that stuff. We're basically playing through the Infinity Gauntlet, the full series of 4 games. You're going to be playing off 3 games and then Ultimate Showdown against Thanos, and that's going to be a full video, about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes of just going through 4 games in a row of Marvel United content. I think it's entertaining, especially if you like Marvel United, and especially if you've never seen the Infinity Wars, the Infinity Gauntlet system in play. This is all Stage 1 stuff, by the way. This is not even X-Men. This is like original Marvel United, not Multiverse, nothing else. It's just, hey, it's the time to do Marvel United stuff, so let's do some Marvel United stuff. And then coming up this week, we'll have a few things. I have purging my unplayed games, and me going through a bunch of games that I haven't played at all. I went through my whole stack of everything in my unplayed games. It's a long list. It's been getting longer, and I'm starting to purge the ones that I think aren't likely to hit the table anytime soon. And then we also have a video going up later this week. I think it's going up later this week. I have to double check. I think it is. But basically 15 games that have a better version. This is not really a play this, not that in the typical sense. This is me taking a look at 15 games that have a direct replacement and then talking about which one I prefer and why. So it's like this game and then this game, and they're clearly the same game, and we'll talk about which one I think is better. And you can go ahead and agree or disagree. Let me know in the comments down below. That'll be going up later this week. Which lastly brings us to the games on the table. Games on the table, we have a few things to talk about. First of all, we have Stone Saga, which I hope to be, these as usual are the games I hope to dive into this week. We're going to be starting with Stone Saga. I really want to get the table this week. We'll see if it actually happens. Lacrimosa, it's been a while since I played it, and I miss it. The downside of all the content I do means sometimes I play games, fall in love with them, and then they don't hit the table. Sometimes they do, other times they don't. Lacrimosa, it's been a while. I haven't played this since I reviewed it, and I want to play it, so we'll try to make that happen. Then we have Time of Empires. I hope to be diving into this one. This is from Pearl Games, but I have to read the rules first, so we'll see if that happens. Then we have Lockup from Thunderworks, which I have not played, but I have read the rules for. Probably need to refresh myself before I dive into it, but I hope to table that. And then lastly, we have Tiny Epic Ninjas, or Tiny Ninjas. I always add the Epic. Tiny Ninja Tournament. This is from the same people who brought you Tiny Ninjas, and this is a series of 4 almost carnival-style tournament games that will be going on crowdfunding, and I hope to be diving into that one this week. And that's what we have. That is everything. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I appreciate all of you, and as always, I hope you have a good one.